For years, his name echoed through the halls of the TRC, whispered in testimony after testimony, attached to fear, disappearance, torture, and death.
Sana Manjang told me, finish him. He kneeled down to say his prayers. Then Sana Manjang have already did.
Who did the chopping?
Malayo sepuro ke Sana Manjang.
Sana Manjang. He chopped.
And now, after years of silence and disappearance, Sana Manjang has finally appeared before a Gambian court, standing face to face with the justice system he once outran. To understand the weight of this court appearance, you must understand who Sana Manjang was and what he represented. He was not an ordinary soldier, not a man who simply followed orders. According to TRRC testimonies, he was one of the most feared members of the Junglers, the death squad that operated in the shadows of Yahya Jammeh's regime. When the regime collapsed, many expected arrests, but instead, he vanished. Crossing borders, hiding in forests, living undetected for years. His quiet handover from Senegal changed everything. No escape, no running, no disappearing into the night. Now he faces the law. But the question remains, will this be the moment justice finally speaks? Or just another chapter of unanswered questions? When Sanna Manjang walked into a Gambian courtroom, he did so not as a soldier, not as a jungler, but as an accused man facing murder charges. He is charged with 3 counts of murder, 3 lives, 3 families, 3 stories brought before the law. But across the country, the reaction has been the same. Only 3 charges? After everything we heard at the TRC? At the TRC, his name appeared again and again. Witnesses described killings, torture, disappearances. But the courtroom is not the TRC. Testimonies must be supported by evidence that survives cross-examination. That is why the state has brought the charges they can prosecute, the charges they believe they can prove. This moment is bigger than 3 charges. It is about trust, truth, accountability, and whether Gambia's promise of justice will be fulfilled. More charges may come, more stories may be reopened, but one fact remains. He is no longer a shadow beyond the border. He is in custody, and the nation watches. No court case exists alone. Every charge is tied to a life, a family, a memory. The families of Data Haidara, Ndongom Boub, and Haruna Jammeh, whose cases form part of the murder charges, have waited many years for accountability. They watch this process with hope and with caution. Across the country, citizens are asking hard questions. Will this be the beginning of broader justice? Will the TRC testimonies lead to more charges? Will the state finally confront every chapter of this dark past? International observers and human rights groups are following closely. This is no longer a national issue alone. It is a test of whether the Gambia can deliver justice after decades of silence. Sana Manjang is no longer a ghost moving across borders. He stands in custody, before the law, facing charges that carry the weight of lives lost and families broken. 3 charges have been brought forward, but the questions remain. How many more will follow? Will every TRC testimony be addressed? Will the victims finally hear the truth? The names linked to Sanna Manjang, the Gambia's most feared jungler. At the TRC, his name appeared again and again. When stories of abductions, torture, and execution surfaced, his name was almost always present. These are some of the individuals whose deaths or disappearances were mentioned at the commission in connection with Sana Manjang and the Junglers. The list of names linked to Sana Manjang, the Gambia's most notorious jungler. Sana Manjang, the man many Gambians call the most notorious killer in the country's history. For years, his name echoed through the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission. Every time a dark chapter of the past was opened, his name was there. These are some of the people whose deaths or disappearances were mentioned at the TRC in connection with Sana Manjang and the Junglers. The names: Dada Nyasi, killed in a jungle operation; Ndongom Boob, arrested, never returned; Haruna Jame, cousin to former President Jame, executed; Momodo Lamin Jasaja Kujabie, killed with Haruna Jame; West African migrants, 2005 massacre, dozens of Ghanaians, Nigerians, Sierra Leoneans, and others killed; about 44 to 56 West African migrants; Data Haidara, veteran journalist assassinated in 2004; Daba Marana, intelligence officer reportedly executed; Alpha Ba, killed with the Marina Group; Ibu Lo, same operation; Aliyu Sise, same operation; Manlafi Kaur, same operation; Masi Jame, same operation; Julia, female victim, the only woman in the group; Saul Now, abducted and killed; Mahawa Cham, killed with Saul Now; Mahmoud Cham, U.S. Gambian dual citizen, killed after abduction; Ibu Job, killed with Mahmoud Cham; Baba Job, a senior APRC member who was killed in a hospital.
The pain behind the names. These were fathers, mothers, sons, daughters. Some families waited for years. Some received no answers. Some died without ever knowing the truth. And some still wait, hoping that this legal process will finally speak for the voiceless. For 22 long years, the Gambia lived under the shadow of fear. What began in 1994 as a military rescue mission slowly transformed into one of the most brutal dictatorships in West Africa. Yahya Jammeh ruled through control, intimidation, torture, disappearances, and extrajudicial killings. His security forces, especially the feared junglers, became his personal killing machine. These were not ordinary soldiers. They were handpicked, protected, and loyal only to Jammeh. Their job was simple: eliminate whoever stood in the chairman's way. And among these men was Sanna Manjang. Sana Manjang was known as one of the most feared junglers. Many witnesses described him as ruthless, loyal to Jammeh, and deeply involved in some of the darkest missions ordered by the state. Throughout the TRC hearings, his name appeared repeatedly in testimonies involving arrests, torture, executions, the killing of soldiers, and the disappearance of political opponents and activists.
During Jammeh's rule, the system was designed for silence. Orders were given verbally, without paperwork. Jammeh would call, whisper, or pass a message, and the junglers moved. They carried out state-backed killings, torture operations, and secret missions that left families searching for loved ones who would never return.
Witnesses testified that Sana Manjang was present during brutal beatings, interrogations, and nighttime operations where detainees disappeared forever. The dictatorship thrived on fear. People whispered Jammeh's name and avoided political conversations. Journalists fled. Activists were detained and beaten. Opposition politicians were tortured. This environment was only possible because operatives like Sana Manjang enforced the regime's cruelty with absolute loyalty. Today, the Gambia continues to ask the same question. How many crimes were committed, and how many remain hidden? Jammeh may have fled into exile, but the legacy of his 22-year rule lives in the pain of families who lost fathers, sons, husbands, and friends. And the names of those who carried out his orders, especially Sana Manjang, continue to appear in testimonies, investigations, and survivor accounts.
As December approaches with talks of Yahya Jammeh's possible return to the Gambia, something unexpected happened. Sana Manjang was arrested. Some people claim there is a connection between these two events, but let us be clear, those are claims, not proven facts. What is real, what the whole world can see, is that Sana Manjang now faces justice. For the first time, the man whose name was whispered in fear, the man linked to some of the darkest chapters of our history, now stands before the world's nations with unanswered questions that can no longer be avoided. Questions from grieving families, questions from victims who live to tell their story, questions from a nation that has waited far too long for truth and accountability. Today, the tide has changed. Today, he no longer walks in the shadows. Today, Sana Manjang must speak, and the world is watching closely. This is just the beginning. Follow us to stay updated on every new development in the Sana Manjang case. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have many more untold stories, truths, and hidden chapters to uncover. Thank you for watching. The story continues.